Hi everyone, this is Grandmaster Eugene Perlstein, and together at chesslecture.com I'd like to welcome you to today's video. Now today I want to share with you a very simple yet deep strategic win by world's #1 player, a former, I should say, world champion, Magnus Carlsen, against another top player, Wesley So. And if you guys follow the Speed Chess Championship online, Magnus beat Wesley in the semifinals. He's about to play Hikaru in the final, which is going to be an exciting battle. But in this match against Wesley, who by no means is a weak chess player, Wesley got trounced with a very lopsided score, 22-7. And I want to delve into trying to understand, how does Magnus do it? How does he beat up on these elite players? And I think I've got the answer, guys, is that Magnus, his just deep opening knowledge and strategic knowledge is amazing, that in well-known positions, he's able to put up a lot of pressure. And this has happened in this game. This is where Magnus is going to teach Wesley a thing or two about the Najdorf. And one would say, okay, Najdorf is an opening that has been studied for so many years. I mean, clearly Wesley knows everything. Well, not quite. Let's take a look. E4, C5, knight f3. So we're going to go into the main line of the Najdorf after d4 takes. Magnus used to like bishop b5 check. He still plays that. But in this game, he decided to test Wesley in some theoretical lines. Knight f6, knight c3, a6. And the thing that I always don't like as black playing the Najdorf, that's why I'm not a big Najdorf fan, is that it is white who has a choice what type of game he's going to get. Right? White has a huge choice of options here, and black has to kind of play reactionary chess. And knowing Magnus, he likes to play positional, strategic chess. He plays this bishop e2, an old Karpov favorite, which these days considered not dangerous at all. And Wesley reacts with the thematic e5. If I were black, I would be thinking about moves like maybe g6, knowing that, okay, if white is going to castle kingside, I'm at least going to play like a normal dragon setup where I'm not going to get mated. Of course, white does not have to castle kingside yet, but this is another topic. However, e5 is by far the main line. Magnus just goes super old school knight b3. These days, knight f3 is just as popular. Bishop e7. And now, this is the cool idea. Bishop g5. It is actually a well-known idea. Lots and lots of games in the database. By no means is this a surprise for Wesley. But the strategic idea of this opening is actually very simple. Black has a hole on d5. The knight defends that hole. Let's eliminate the defender. This is so simple chess, and Karpov was really good about exploiting this weakness on d5. So Magnus is basically following the true and tried strategy, getting rid of that knight. Black plays bishop e6. It is interesting that Hikaru Nakamura, who himself studied this position from both sides, said that he didn't like this bishop e6 because it actually gives white too much easy play later on. And that's what happened in this game. Although by far, bishop e6 is considered theoretically the top move. That's why Hikaru proposed the very simple solution. Well, if you want to take me, I'm going to take you. The drawback, of course, the bishop gets stranded behind, and that leads to a totally different type of position. But so far, Wesley is basically following the main theoretical recommendation to develop the bishop. The knight may go to c6 or d7. But okay, this gives white opportunity to immediately seize the moment, take the knight before the other knight comes back, and then the fight kind of revolves around this d5 outpost. Now, in the old days, white will almost always castle kingside and then try to get d5. It's been proven that it's not enough. It's not enough to do that. So what Magnus does is the modern approach. Most players play queen d3 these days. Okay, Wesley basically plays developing move, knight c6. There's no need to put knight on d7 now. And castle. So this is the modern approach to this opening. White says, I am applying pressure on the d pawn. My knight's going to go to d5, but I need these pawns to launch kingside attacks. So that's the modern twist. See how Magnus, he learns the classics, but he also has deep understanding of kind of the improved version of them. Still theory, knight d4, this is considered the equalizer. That's it. The d file control is gone, and after takes, even though black has the double pawns, keep in mind this d4 pawn is very easily defended. Still theory though, guys. Knight d5. Black doesn't really tolerate that knight. Takes, and castle. So let's pause here for a moment and try to understand what just happened. Both sides blitzed out 14 moves of theory. If you turn the engine on, it's going to say position is roughly equal. There are lots of games in the database. Wesley is basically following the main recommendation, which says this bishop versus this bishop is rough equality. But Magnus understands this position much deeper, on a very deep level. Starts from the next move, queen f3. The point is he wants the bishop to be blockading this d4 pawn and attacking the enemy king. This is going to be big fat pawn on f6, right? And then we're going to do a pawn storm with g4, h4, and sacrificial attack. Very simple plan. Black does not have a good answer, right? Black's pawn storm on the queen side is lacking, and it's going to be very difficult to generate the attack. The c2 pawn is going to be well protected. So Wesley plays rook e8. Again, he follows the main recommendation of theory. I want to point out that d3 is a logical idea to free up that bishop by sacking the pawn. But the problem is after bishop takes, queen b6, c3, black doesn't have a good way of continuing the attack. For instance, rook a to c8 loses on the spot. And here's a good test for everyone to see how tactically aware you are. How does this get in trouble for black? So white to move and win. So pause the video if you need more time. And the answer is, look at the bishop, look at the h7 pawn, simple battery, queen f5. g6 drops the bishop, moving the rook out of the way, starts the unstoppable attack with queen takes h7. And that's game over. Wow. So you got to be careful here if you're black. And if black plays this move bishop e5, we now have very cool idea that I liked. I actually analyzed this position a little bit deeper with engine. This idea of h-pawn storm. And after, let's say, rook here, h5. All of these sacks, they never work. It looks kind of dangerous, but in reality, there is the follow-up stops after this. The king is quite safe. Everything is guarded. Basically, not enough for the piece. So let's come back. And if black starts this build-up, white has this amazing rook h4, rook e4 concept. Again, this is me analyzing with engine. I would never find this in a real game. And if black plays like a dummy move, again, sack on c3 doesn't work. The king simply will be running away to f1. And if black plays like a dummy move, there's a really cool strategic idea, both strategic and tactical, I would say. Rook takes e5 exclam and d6. Tactical in a sense you cannot take because of bishop takes h7, and strategic as this d pawn is just too good, black is losing the game. Rook here loses to either queen f5 or bishop f5, setting up a skewer. So this is just terrible. So Magnus knew all of this. I'm pretty certain he loves these kind of strategic risk-free positions. And Wesley just follows the theoretical recommendation. Just get the rook on the open file, but after bishop d3, that's it. This is forever stopped. It's a two-result game. Either white wins, or if black defends really, really well, it's a draw. You don't want this in a blitz game, guys, where black has no adequate way of coming up with a plan. So Wesley just plays generic move rook d5, king b1. Again, this move you will play on autopilot, typical move just to get out of any c1, h6 threats, queen a5, and again, deep understanding of the position. g4 exclam. What, you may wonder? Am I just winning the pawn for free? I'm telling you guys, this is all part of Magnus's plan. He's given that pawn up. So Wesley might as well double first. h4, he grabs the pawn. Well, sooner or later the pawn is gone. Takes, and now a3. All of this, again, is simple chess if you know that these pawns they're doubled, they're irrelevant. The attack is still unstoppable, and black has to defend the rest of the game. And Wesley plays h6, which is not that bad of a move yet, but after f4, Magnus sets up a very cunning trap. Okay, guys, this is very important. The trap is hidden, and Wesley falls right into it with his next move, g6. This is the losing move right here. Up to here, black can still defend, but it's a knee-jerk reaction. g5 is coming. He wants the bishop to come back to g7 and protect g7, h8 squares. Classic blitz knee-jerk reaction, totally missing the real threat. All right, so first I'm going to ask you, how did Magnus play after the move g6? That's a serious one, not an obvious trap that Wesley fell for, but Magnus saw it coming a mile away. And if you need more time, please go ahead and pause the video. And I will give you guys a hint. This rook on d5 looks a little bit awkward. Looks a little bit awkward. That's a big hint right there. And that's right. Some of you already getting the point. It is simply stop that rook from moving anywhere else with b4. Oops. The mouse trap is shut. The rook can't get out. Bishop c4 is a big threat. So we're going to come back to this position. But first, I want to show you that after f4, black did have an escape. Either rook a5, which looks a little bit silly to be on a5. In my opinion, rook c5 looks more human, just to get out of the file. With b4, you can come back, or you could go to c3. So b4 is now out of the question, although after g5, I would only choose white here, right? Taken looks kind of suicidal with the h file opening up. Okay, maybe the king can make a run for it. So it's not the end of the world, perhaps, but this is the kind of stuff that is very unpleasant. So let's come back to the game, and I want to show you how Magnus shut the door from this rook to escape. With b4, the rook can't escape. b5, logical move by Wesley. He's keeping the rook still alive. Now the next question for everyone. How do you continue? Same pattern. We need to trap the rook. Well, the rook has no moves. We just need to find a way to attack it. The bishop can attack it here, but it's stopped by the b pawn. Hey, we can attack it this way. Did you guys figure it out yet? That's right. Simply rook h to e1. I'm not even sure if it matters which rook d to e1 works just as well. And the problem is, once the rooks are traded, we have access to the e4 square. And that's it. Wesley tries rook e3, a pseudo-active move. In reality, it by no means stops white's main idea, which is bishop to e4. Magnus inserts g5. Why not? It's a useful move just to kick the bishop out, take, and now you can play bishop e4 if you want. And of course, Magnus does it immediately. Black would already resign. I don't see how you can save the game, which exactly what Wesley does in this position. I don't just, you can try to play it out, but you really have to give up the exchange. Takes. Of course, the rook is still totally useless there, and I can come in to e8 at the right moment. White could activate the king, And this is a relatively easy way to convert. This pawn is probably going to fall as well at some point. So what are the lessons from this game, guys? Well, don't just blindly follow opening theory. Wesley played, 16, 17 moves according to theory and found himself in trouble. He didn't really know what to do. Magnus, on the other hand, immediately seized the fact that the rook on d5 is terribly placed. Who cares if he's a pawn down because of black's double pawns? And he loves these two-sided result positions. He got the dream endgame, and he is a beast in endgames. Thank you very much. This was Grandmaster Eugene Perelstein for chesslecture.com. Goodbye.